Here we are, Star Trek Picard Season 2. Now, I will say this. I think if Star Trek Discovery didn't exist, we would be a lot kinder on Picard. And I'm going to say that because Discovery is the bastard child and Picard is the genuine sequel, and it's really weird. Do I agree with every decision that's been made in Picard? Do I agree with some of the writing choices? No. But let's get into it. Let's talk about it. So, first things first. Season 2 brings back Q, and the genuine chemistry between Jean-Luc Picard and Q, and the actors in real life, is brilliant. That chemistry between them is an amazing thing, and it shows, and it's strong, and they really do steal the show when they're together. I love what they did with 7 of 9. I love the fact they're fleshing out her story. I'm disappointed she is not with Chakotay, but that's a whole different discussion for a different video. And I do feel like Picard is the natural progression of what happened at the events of Voyager. Now we get into the thing. I think Season 2, again, it suffers from short seasons. It always feels like they're breezing over, and I wish they would just add a few more episodes. Like a season used to be like 18, 20-something episodes rather than 10. I do get why they do this. It is budgetary. But I will say the writing in this is far more even and far more concise than Discovery. The characters all get their moments. We know these characters, even the new characters. We get to know their motivations, and they're not just following blindly in the background. Ball Queen. I love what they did with her. I think the idea that the Ball Queen realised what she needed to survive, because in every version of events, yes, there are spoilers, every version of events the Borg lose. And why I do miss the big, scary, bad Borg of the earlier Star Trek iterations, I do think that it just... it's a thing. I think you had to humanise it. The idea actually reminds me of the undeveloped Bryan Singer Star Trek Federation series, which would have had an evolved Borg in it, set in the year 3000, and it would have had this Borg character that now passed the Federation. I do feel like these ideas are creeping in. I think the time travel element was really interesting, the way they did it. I love, as much as I think Whoopi Goldberg needs to shut up, I cannot stand her with a passion. I mean, just big-mouthed and angry. She is phenomenal as Guinan. Like, she's a great actress with horrible anti-Semitic opinions. And that's a problem. But she is a good actress, and as much as I detest her, I don't believe in cancelling people. So, her is coming back as Guinan, and we also got young Guinan. I don't know why they just didn't digitally de-age Whoopi, because they've done that before. I felt that was a weak link. And now we're returning to the Borg. This version of the Borg Queen. Okay, so I don't know what it was about her, and I really love the actress. I love the makeup. My God, that makeup is amazing. And really kind of fleshy and gross, all in the same sentence, and kind of reminded me more of the original Borg Queen, mixed with a little bit of Voyager's green Borg Queen. There is a couple of things here. I think she felt very small. I don't know what it is. She felt very small within this show in terms of stature. She lacked a little bit of presence. But I love the fact that in the end, the Borg Queen, being the architect of the Borg, realised what needed to be done. And the fact that the Borg, as we know them, no longer exist, because end of Voyager, upload virus, kill Borg, and destroy the collective. So what's left of the Borg is fragmented groups. It's a very different thing. I do think the pacing of this series is an issue, and this is a thing with a lot of modern television, that I do find that a lot of pacing, a lot of stuff is very much, we need to get this done really fast. And like I said, I wish it was more episodes. We said goodbye to a couple of cast members in this one, which I thought was a nice payoff with the characters. I like these characters. I really do. I know in season 3, which I think will be the last season, we will see a return of most, if not all, of the Next Generation crew, and there are some rumours flying around that we're going to get some DS9 and Voyager people, which I think would be really fun to bring them in, because I'd like to catch up with these characters. And something I will say, the time travel element of this season, also it's interesting to see Picard's family origin and kind of an insight into what happened and who these characters are. And you know, you have this whole idea of Rene Picard, which I thought was brilliant. It's very interesting because I'm not sure life in the 21st century in the Star Trek universe. I'm trying to figure out the timeline of Star Trek at this point. And I think it will be interesting, because I don't know how they're going to deal, because we're not quite first contact at this point. So the Earth is heading for an environmental disaster, and just little flashes of things which I thought were really good that kind of tied into previous known Star Trek information. And I will say this, I think genuinely Picard is the show that Discovery should be. Visually, I think Picard also looks like Star Trek. It looks like a natural evolution of Star Trek. That's another thing that I think Discovery lacks. I'm very hard on Discovery, but it doesn't look like Star Trek. It looks like, for want of a better word, it looks more like Star Wars. Where this looks like Star Trek, it's slower. So let's break down some criticism. A little bit more criticism, because would I be me? You know, just putting that one out there. The cameo from Wesley Crusher was ridiculous. I mean that. I know people like... Some people like Wesley, but it just seemed to come out of nowhere, and Will Wheaton is an insufferable prick 90% of the time. So... So I know, it's bad. I just cannot stand him. And I think making the Data's daughter, air quotes, a traveller was weird. I think that was such a weird thing to do, and it just didn't... Yeah, it just didn't work. And also, what I will say is that I think and I've always said this, that sometimes less is more, and they're trying to make everything a cinematic universe. It's not a cinematic universe. It's Star Trek, and sometimes some smaller, more character-focused moments are needed. It's not always about the end of the world. And or the end of the universe. I think that is a thing. And it's a frustrating thing. And I think, as someone who has watched Star Trek for such a long time, that sometimes you just need to have characters that are small, that are intimate, that episodes that are very focused on that. Like, if you look back at older Trek, there will always be those episodes which are small and little, and that's all it needs. On the other side, of things, and I've said this, I think, before, is that Star Trek has always been political. And I got a very interesting, if bitchy, comment on a video I did about Star Trek Discovery. And I replied, because I'm that person. But the person didn't reply, so that tells me everything I need to know about them, really. And I always say this, if you are unwilling to reply to a discussion, maybe you're not the right person to be having the discussion. Just a thing. And exactly. And it just, I mean, here we go. Complaining about Star Trek being woke is like complaining about water being wet. Star Trek has always been political, always been preachy, like Doctor Who has always been campy. But the difference being is that back in the day, and I'm going to put this one out there, Star Trek had good stories, and it didn't lecture the audience. It let the audience watch it and make up their own opinion. I think that's where it does go wrong, and I think, as a friend of mine also put in the comments, storytelling is not just shoehorned from real-life wokeness or PC politics. And I do think this sort of push of identity politics in most media right now is getting kind of boring, and I think people are getting a bit sick of it. I will say, Season 1 of Picard does have a bit of that, and Season 2 does have it, but at least it's not preachy. Has its moments, but it's not the main focus being Picard and the story going on. That's great. Is Star Trek Picard perfect? No. Is it the better iteration of current Trek? Yes. So, and I know that's controversial. I do. Tell me what you think in the comments, because I'm curious on this one. And also, what is your favourite Star Trek series?